Hi there, my name is Rick. I'm 39 years old. I live in Chicago, Illinois. And I wanted to make a contribution to the It Gets Better project. Um, Being 39 years old and having experienced a lot of things in my life, I know firsthand that things do improve. Um, I wasn't really teased. Well, I was teased. I have to say I was teased a lot especially in grade school. I wasn't necessarily bullied, but I was teased a lot. And really, my teasing was more because I had a hot temper, and whether that had anything to do with me trying to figure out who I was, or um, not really admitting who I was. I mean, I was in grade school, but even still, kids in grade school have a pretty good idea of who they are and what they're going to be. Um, and I had a pretty good idea. I really did. I knew that I was gay, and I knew that I liked boys and all that, but I never acted out on it. Um, Certainly not in a Catholic high school, and certainly not when I was at that time in a class of, I think we had like 30 or 40 kids in the class between two classrooms. And it was a difficult time, but it wasn't as bad as what we're hearing about today. But I knew who I was, and even though I never really let it on, there were days that it was tough. And uh, from about first to fifth grade, um, you know, the teasing happened a lot, and I dealt with it poorly. I had a really hot temper, and the kids would get a rise out of me, and I'd blow up, and they got what they wanted, and that's what kids do. That's what kids do. They look for what is going to set you off, or how they can get to you. And if that's by bullying you, or if it's by teasing you, or if it's by taunting you, calling you names, pushing you downstairs, whatever. If they can get the upper hand above you, that's what they're going to do. And in my experience, I fought back. I was a tough kid. I wasn't really, no, I can't say I was tough, but I didn't let them get I didn't let them push me around, but I let them press my buttons. And that's where my problem was, and that's where I had a lot of trouble. By the time I reached fifth grade, and I was, we were all, reaching that point where we were starting to realize who we were, and, reaching our puberty and our, sexual changes and everything were happening to us. And that was when I had my realization of who I was. And I remember looking around the room when kids were getting ready for gym class, and the boys were in one room and the girls were in the other room, and the boys were all getting undressed, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, wow, yeah, this is nice. But I remember being afraid of that and thinking, oh my God, if somebody finds out what I'm feeling, I don't know what's going to happen to me, because these kids are already giving me so much trouble. And I was scared. And that summer, I pretty much begged my mom to let me transfer schools, because, and then, the teasing happened even in the summertime, and, it just got worse and worse, and I didn't want to go back there because I knew that things wouldn't be good. So I went to a different school, Fortunately, I was able to go because I was going to a Catholic school. It was pretty easy for me to transfer. And I thought everything was going to be great and everything was going to be wonderful, and it wasn't. Um, it was a smaller school. I went from classrooms of 20 kids to a class of 12 kids, and that was it. And, the whole school was really much smaller. Um, and the kids were, I just never gelled with them really, and some of them I did, but some of them I didn't, and certainly not the boys. I didn't get along with the boys very well. Um, so it wasn't the answer to all my problems, but um, I was fortunate in that I was able to. Um, I had defense mechanisms built into me where, if the kids started teasing me, I finally, by that point, was able to kind of build the wall around me and not let it affect me as much. Um, and I think that's the point where I started to mature. So I guess I matured a little earlier than some kids, and I was able to realize that this wasn't all there was. And grade school tauntings and teasings and bullying or whatever isn't the end of the world. Um, and yeah, there were days where I thought this was just awful, and I'm never gonna have friends, and I'm never gonna have a life, and I'm never gonna, be the person that I want to be. Um, but those days were short-lived because I figured out pretty early on that nothing was going to get to me. Um, and I don't know if the environment in schools today is harder because I don't know what goes on. I mean, I obviously see what's happening, and these kids are killing themselves, and I just, to me, that just, I don't understand. How can it be? At what point does it get to be so bad that your only option is to end your life? I I just don't understand that, and that scares me because that means either that child is not given the opportunities that I was given, or the other kids are worse than what I experienced. And obviously, they're worse because the things that I'm hearing that happen to these kids is horrific. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I was in those kids' shoes, if I would react the same way that I did back when I was being teased and taunted and called names and all that. So I guess what I want to say here is if you can't cope, if you can't fight back in some way, either by showing them that they're not going to get to you, or I'm not I'm not I'm not saying you have to be physical. Please don't say that. But if you can't show that you're the stronger one and you're better than that, and you have the upper hand, then just know that it does get better from there. There are so many of us that have experienced what you've experienced and have gone through what you've gone through, some worse, some better. But those of us who got through it and moved on and made something of our lives, we're doing okay. And if we can do okay, you can do okay. So please, don't consider ending your life, because that means that those kids got what they wanted, and don't let them get what they want. Stay alive and live your life, and you'll have an amazing life. Thank you.